On the 9th day of podcasting, my Nutty gave to me sugar pie with pecans. So, Totesuc is a French-Canadian pie that Tech absolutely loves. I'm sure you've heard him talk about it before. It's basically brown sugar. It's a brown sugar pie, and I had forgotten that it usually has 2 layers of pie crust on the bottom and on the top. But this is the one that it took me a couple of tries to get right. So when we got married, his mom gave me a recipe book that he and his mom and his sister had put together for us. But a lot of the recipes or half the recipes were in French. And, so I needed some translations. And sugar pie, the recipe is just for the filling. It's not for the actual pie part. Because it's essentially the same thing that goes as what they call Creole sauce, or it's almost the fudge recipe. All of it is pretty much the same. It just all depends on how long you cook it for and what you do with it afterwards. So, I asked Tech to translate it for me because I'd wanted to make this for a while, but that was kind of like his thing. But, also I wanted to make a pecan pie. And when I was looking up the recipes for pecan pies, they all called for corn syrup. It was a lot of corn syrup, and I just couldn't understand why would I be using corn syrup when I could just use brown sugar for my sugar, because that's much better. So rather than have a pie that's mostly corn syrup, I'll have a pie that's mostly brown sugar. So my plan was to just take pecans and put it in the sugar pie. So I had a thing of Pillsbury crust. You get 2 of them. And I was like, okay, forgetting that it's supposed to have a top. I had him translate the recipe. He went to bed and I made it. And then I was like, well, there's no recipe for the actual pie part. So I followed Pillsbury's directions, which was wrong. I ended up cooking it for way too long, and it was good. It was just harder than it needed to be. It should still be a little soft. We brought it to a friend's house. We had it at the friend's house. It was good. Heated it up just a little just to make it easier to eat, but not the best. I mean, good. Really, really good. Just not as amazing as it could be. So then when we got to his dad's place, I had brought the other pie crust and the pecans, and I made it again. And as I'm making it, he says, oh, do you only have 1 pie crust? I said, yeah, why? He goes, oh, because maybe that's why it had a problem. It didn't have a lid. And then I remembered, they're supposed to have a lid. Well, I'm not making it with a lid because I only got the 1, because the Pillsbury thing comes 2 to a thing. So I made it again, cooked it, lower temperature, less time, came out perfect. So here's how you do it. You've got a cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, and 3/4 a cup of cream. First, you mix the brown sugar and the flour. You add the cream, boil it, let it come to a boil. Mix it all up till it's a nice little gooey deliciousness. Let it come to a boil. Take it off the heat. So you take it completely off the element. Then you put in a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of butter. I used what was here, which is basically a margarine. I used butter in the first one. Stir that all in. Pour it into the pie crust. And then bake, I'd say, what I ended up doing was 350 for 20 minutes, and that was enough to cook the pie crust, and everything else worked. What I did is I mixed pecans in before pouring it into the shell, and then I did it that way. And let it cool, and it comes out perfect. Nice, ooey, gooey deliciousness. In the future, I might put a lid on it. But very easy, very simple, and load it with as many pecans as you want. I kind of filled the thing. It came out delicious. It is awesome. And then my father-in-law was telling me that he's been debating putting maple syrup in it. I was like, oh, that would make it even better. Let's try that next time. So definitely got some good ideas of where to go Next, tell me, what is a pie recipe that you grew up eating and you think, I can make some tweaks to this? Nutty Bites is produced by Nimlas Studios under a Creative Commons Attribution No Commercial Non-Derivatives 3.0 International License. That means you can't change it without my permission. You can share it and send it to your friends. Just link back to me, my site, and everything. We live at nimlas.org, which has links to everything social media, including facebook.com/group/nuttybites and patreon.com/nukejoss, or call 347-NUTTY42.